Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome, everyone. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya On-Air. I am your host, SanyaHudson Payne, and I have another great celebrity interview for you. This is, let me just be transparent. This is like a dream come true. I've been following this amazing actor and musician for years. I know him. You know him. His name is Darius McCrary. We're going to get to him in just a few moments, but I just want to do a few quick housekeeping rules. Make sure if you are watching this episode of Sanya On-Air on YouTube, it's also streaming on other major platforms. You can catch Sanya On-Air streaming on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and also Buzzsprout. So why don't we just get into today's conversation, and I bring to you none other than Darius McCrary.
Hey, how you guys doing? Let me ask you, is this better for you?
That's
perfect. Or do you want it sideways? Is that better?
That's good right there.
All right, cool.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm amazing. You know, I was just telling my listeners, Darius, this is a dream come true for me.
Oh, wow.
I'm so serious. You know, this is why I created this platform, Sanya On-Air, to have conversations with celebrities such as yourself, because wow. I grew up with you in my household, watching you every single week on Family Matters. So I just want to get right into the conversation and, you know, before America got to meet you. So you're classified as a self-proclaimed church boy. Is that true?
Well, you know, I did grow up in the church. You know, my father has been a minister of music for some amazing organizations such as Jim Bakker's PTL. I mean, he wrote the theme song for the Praise the Lord show. That's where he actually discovered BB and CeCe Winans. You know, Andre Crouch was my brother's godfather. Rest in peace. So my father discovered the Winans. Actually, he gave the demo to Andre Crouch before they changed their name to the Winans. They were originally the Testimonial Singers. So, you know, my uncle's a bishop. His church is still on Manchester and South Central, and he has created and formed several outreach programs for the community that I've been a part of for years. So, yeah, it's safe to say I'm a church boy.
I'm a church girl, so, you know, I asked you that question because if you're anything like me, like I come from a very church-going background. My father is a deacon. My mother's a deaconess. Both of my fathers are ministers.
Wow.
Like every
that's the same thing. My mother's a registered minister, Miss Shea. My grandmother's an evangelist. My father has worked with Bishop Charles E. Blake to build the music department. Which I believe was the foundation that has allowed the church and the music department to grow and build to what it is. He was there back when. So yeah, you know, I've deep rooted in the church. You know, although my journey has led me to a different place in life where I've embraced more of my spiritual understanding and knowledge of who I am as an individual and what we are as a collective spiritually. Just because I believe that religion is something that has been used to control us for so many years, especially those who are not as, we'll say, as strong or as have the fortitude to understand who they are individually. You know, but I do still believe in so many principles that I was given from the church. I love the fact that, you know, you come together as a unit. You know, I love the fact that you work together towards something. Everybody has a position to play. You learn leadership skills. You learn performance skills. You learn to hone and sharpen your gifts as a musician, and you learn to embrace certain principles that would allow you to be able to embrace those from different backgrounds and of different ethnicities, and to administer and to show love to your fellow man. So yeah. I do still believe in several principles that I was taught as a child. However, I just feel that I've grown to a different place of understanding regarding who I am and what I am spiritually. You know, a lot of people make the mistake of believing that we are spirits having a human experience And this is, or we're humans having a spiritual experience, but we are spirits experiencing this human ride here. And it was Buddha, I believe, who said that the opportunity to come here and to have this spiritual experience is the same chance that a sea tortoise has when he's out to sea in poking his head up through an inner tube. So it's something to be cherished and not to be taken lightly. And I'm grateful for my roots. However, I'm even more grateful for the expansion of my roots, which has led me to this wonderful place that we're meeting in now.
Yeah. I never even thought about that type of analogy, the tortoise. Because I always say, I'm a spiritual being living a human experience. I've said that for years. But I was sort of like one of those rebellious church-going kids because I had to figure things out for myself. Like I was one of those young girls where I couldn't go to sports activities because that wasn't designed for girls. I had to be in the church. So for me, I would wait until my family members would go into the pews to practice their gospel songs, and I would crawl underneath the pews and go outside the church and sneak a ride to the football game. I was that type of kid. What type of kid were you in the church?
And, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just good fun. I mean, we've all had to maybe sneak out the back door to hang out with them hoodlum friends, as Uncle Stevie said, and I wish them days would come back. But that's what I'm saying. That's part of what I've learned from the church is there's just so many restrictions that were put on us, and when you really understand where religion was derived from, and you really understand that a lot of this stuff was beat into us by slave masters, and we were taught to worship the master, and we were taught that a good slave obeys the master. You kind of question some things, and then as I've studied and I've had the blessing of being able to travel around the world and to meet with so many different people. It's almost like when Malcolm X was first inducted into Islam, and how everything changed for him when he went over to Mecca and he found out what Islam really was versus what he was told that Islam was supposed to be.
Yeah, you bring up a very good point. I remember my first year in college, and just coming from a Baptist background, the first book that I had read was Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It changed my life, and it showed me that religion is so multidimensional that I need to tap into other practices so I can come up with my own beliefs. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. But, you come from a background where you mentioned your father was heavily involved in gospel music and, the celebrity life. How did the transition happen where you didn't start off with music, but you went into acting? I remember seeing you in Mississippi Burning. I don't know if people remember that, but the look on your face as a child in that movie, it stayed with me for, let's say, 20, 30 something years. So how did the transition happen where you went into acting?
Well, once again, like I said, my father was responsible for discovering so many and for cultivating so many artists and working with and producing and arranging for years. So much to the point that I think that he was overlooked as an artist. He was nominated for a Grammy. And ironically, the Marvin Winans won the Grammy over him. So it's crazy. The person you put on won the Grammy, and you guys were against each other. And that's how deep this game of entertainment is. And so my father was doing a play where he had done the music with Marvin, Uncle Peanut, love you. It was called Don't Get God Started. And so Chip Fields, I'm sorry, whoa, Chip Fields.
Another amazing actress.
Yeah, yes, the legendary Chip Fields. She was starring in the play, and I used to go to rehearsals with my dad, and my mom would send me to these rehearsals, and Auntie Chip had saw something in me, and she decided to cultivate that. And so prior to this opportunity that she presented me with, I had completely blown an audition. And my mom was like, she told him, teacher, you could take him on this audition if you want to, but he's not going to embarrass me again. So, she took me. And this is back when you had to impress the agent first. So I read for the agent, and then I went and read for the casting director, and it was a movie called Big Shots, and that was the first movie that I had ever done. And then from Big Shots, it was just a string of work that just had come to me, and Mississippi Burning was shortly thereafter. And you talk about culture shock. It was pretty interesting to go from playing this streetwise kid on the streets of the South Side of Chicago to the sharecropper's son. And it was interesting. My mom, who became my momager, who just had some amazing insight, and she still does, we decided to take the train from Chicago to New Orleans. My mother was born in New Orleans in the St. Bernard Projects. And I went and I talked to my great-grandmother, and I just started to do research. And it was there where I learned to do research, proper research for a role. And so I was able to just put myself in the mind of this character, this young boy, who was in the middle of this whirlwind, this race whirlwind, which is kind of interesting, being a part of such a great project. Won an Oscar. The story is just so deep because there were 3 civil rights workers who were hanged for trying to fight injustice. Right. And this is something that happened decades ago, and here we are still in the eye of this hurricane today, trying to fight for rights and trying to fight injustice. So it's a blessing to be a part of that, and I'm so grateful that is a part of my legacy and a part of my work. Alan Parker, who rest his soul in peace, is a brilliant director, and that was very real for me. Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe were very inviting and very welcoming and very generous in sharing and allowing me the space that I needed as a young African-American male, young boy acting and doing this to find my way. And it's crazy. You never know what your work will do. That movie had become a part of the curriculum for Black history in schools. So it's quite the blessing.
Yeah. Like I said, that movie definitely resonated with me. It was something that I was able to watch with my daughter when she was old enough to understand. But I can guarantee you probably didn't even know that as a child preparing yourself for the role in Mississippi Burning would sort of have an impact on you as an African American male. Let's just talk about what's been happening recently with the murders and the assassination of unarmed Blacks. As a grown man who has experienced life, it's not over yet. How has the recent murders of unarmed Black individuals impacted your life and the way that you view life?
Well, I'm going to say this. These assassinations that we've been witnessing, these murders that we've been witnessing with these unarmed Black people. I'm not going to even say African American. I'm going to say Black people, because when it comes down to it, we have been labeled Black.
Right.
We're brown. There aren't too many of us that are as black as my shirt in this country, in this region, but we've been labeled Black. We've been taught that bad guys wear black. We've been taught that black cats are bad luck. We've been taught that white is right. We've been taught that the good guys wear white. We've been taught so many things that come from a place that we are not even familiar with or have no idea of the origins of these fallacies and the ignorance that we've been made to suffer, and the banners we've been made to wear, and the jackets we've been made to wear that have targets on the backs. all these murders we've been witnessing, the only thing that's different from anything in the past is that we have cameras now, so we can educate. When the riots were first breaking out recently after George Floyd's murder, I recall there was some footage of some bricks that were being placed in position for our use. And I was raised in an area right where the riots started, when Rodney King was beat senselessly and erroneously, Florence and Normandy. And there was a man named Reginald Denny who, the A-Tray gangsters, they hit him in the head with a brick. But when you do the research, you find that he was driving a truck through this neighborhood. And do you know what was in the truck?
What? What was in the truck?
Bricks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You can do the research. Why was this white man driving through the hood, a semi-truck, on the streets with bricks in them? Where did the brick come from where he was hit in the head when he was beat senseless? We didn't have these phones to do this research and to find this out. And now we're starting to see that this war is deeper. It's deeper than just us being murdered senselessly or them picking someone. This is a global agenda, and it's something that has nothing to do with us at all. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, but we can't take it personal. We have to just learn the business. This is business. We are business. We have been business. Slavery is big business. And slavery has not dissipated. It's not been abolished. It's just become organized. And now the slaves live in a place they call prisons.
Yeah.
And so when you commit a certain crime, whether it's vandalism during a riot because you took a brick or some rocks that were placed for you because of your anger, based on the fact that you have witnessed injustice or you've probably experienced injustice, just as I have. I'm no different, you know. And there are a lot of these young men. I won't call them coons, but a lot of these young men now who are put out in the forefront, and they're saying that they're rich and they're this and they're that, and they've never experienced racism, and America's a wonderful place. You're full of shit.
Right.
They're full of shit. We've all experienced racism in a place. I don't know if it's because you're so high, either on your drugs or high on your own ego, because you're so high and mighty that you just believe your own bullshit.
About, let's say, for example, I remember recently Lil Wayne made.
I'm not going to call any names. We know who they are. What I'm going to say is that one of the most recent resurgences of Family Matters was based on a clip from an episode called Good Cop, Bad Cop, written by an amazing writer named Fred Rubin. I love Fred so much. And it was based on a true experience that had happened to me. I was racially profiled. And I talked about this with the producers. And they felt so enraged for me. And they were so upset for me that they had decided that they would write this episode. And Reginald VelJohnson did an amazing job of portraying a father who happened to be in law enforcement, who confronted these officers. The issue is that when you see stuff like this, and it is uncovered on television, is that everybody doesn't have a police officer father who's going to stand up for them, who can address these police. And Eddie Winslow, he left with his life.
Yeah.
A lot of our brothers and sisters are not. And these are more sacrifices that are being made, which is why we have to accept the responsibility that we have when it's placed on our shoulders to vote and to speak out and to use our platform to bring unity to our community. We do not have the luxury of taking pot shots at each other. We do not have the luxury of sitting back and talking shit about each other and tearing each other down. We don't have that luxury. And I think that these murders are more evidence and more indicative of how important it is for us to continue to support each other and love each other through this any which way we can. We have to, because of the fact that, you know, if we all were to show up, let's just say, you know, at a courthouse, for everybody black at a courthouse in the community at the same time, if we all were to, let's say, just stop spending money, maybe 3 days out of the week at the establishments, um, that are owned by these major corporations, it would really make a difference. It would really make people think. But I don't expect us to do that. I don't. It's so much easier to get on Instagram and to talk about someone who is doing something. It's so much easier to get on Facebook and share your outfit of the day and look at me and look at what I'm doing versus really coming together. And it goes even beyond voting. Voting is just one part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at people, vote. We got to vote. Let's vote. Yeah, that's part of it. But that's only one portion. It's only one branch of this tree.
Right.
So,
Just to share a personal story, just talking about how can we disrupt these systems. I'm currently in the process of filing criminal charges against 7 different hospitals here in New York City because there is systemic injustices that has happened due to COVID-19. So I think that we all play a part in, like I said, disrupting systems. But do you think as a collective, you did mention that you don't think that it can happen. Why don't you think that we as Black people have the bandwidth to come together as a collective to disrupt all of this systemic racism?
well, as you just said, it's systemic. And I mean, it's like we've been putting a Band-Aid on something for years that needs stitches. And if you're not properly guided, if you don't have a mother and a father in your life, I mean, let's be honest, they don't necessarily have to be in the home. Just be in the lives of the children. But once again, it's systemic. It goes back to, fathers have been demonized and discredited for years based on the welfare system. Uncle Sam became the man in the home when the woman started getting that money, and the only way she could get the money is for the father not to be in the house. So the woman decided to take the money. And once again, we used to chase in the bag. That same bag that's filled with dollar bills that if you look on them have direct artwork connected to slavery.
Yes.
If you take a picture of a $20 bill, and this is ironic that they did this on Andrew Jackson's bill, who was one of the most heinous slave owners and who was one of the most evil masters and had some of the most despicable tactics of torture for his slaves and had us living in just unmentionable conditions. There was a hanging at the White House on the back of the $20 bill. Take a screenshot and blow it up and look inside what should be that chandelier.
Right.
And you're going to see a person. And then there are trees all in front of the White House down front. Those trees are not trees, those are people. And those are torches burning. If you really look at the artwork, if you understand, part of the reason why JFK was killed, murdered, was because he was working on breaking up some of these groups that supported these acts, some of these private groups. But I'm not going to get into that. But my point is that Black people, we're focused on the wrong things. I believe that we've been taught for years that we can be equal to white people or better than. Not in this country, we won't be, ever.
Yeah,
because we don't control the distribution. We don't control the things that we need to control to be in charge. And we will never get that control. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's a way to take control, and that's not through violence. We have to take control of ourselves and our minds first. And until we do that, I believe that we'll always be second banana, or we'll always be a clown in the circus. And everybody loves the clowns. We go to the circus for the clowns. I mean, I'm not trying to see these animals or this and that. We love the clowns, but it's a very difficult life being a clown because you're usually laughed at and not laughed with.
True. Everything that you said, it was so profound. I'm just wondering, where did you get this from? Because oftentimes we see celebrities who get to a place of privilege, and just like you said, they feel exempt from the Black struggle or the Black narrative here in America. Where did it come from?
Well, I mean, for me, my knowledge and my awakenings come from a lot of research, a lot of studying. As I said, my uncle, Bishop Edward R. Turner, has been a great influence in my life. I've had some great people influence me, and I've just decided to try and study for myself. And once I found out the position that I was playing in this game, and how I've been played, even by my own people. There's so many black filmmakers who come to me and, oh, we want to put you in this movie, man, and we got a budget. And I say, okay. And they're not understanding. I come from white production. My first production was a white major feature film produced by Ivan Reitman. My second feature film was a major Oscar-winning production. Family Matters was produced by some of the most amazing, who happen to be white men, Bob Boyette, Tom Miller, whose legacy is illustriously lined with success. I did not do the black independent movie, and this is not me downing anyone, because I'm a filmmaker and a producer myself. However, because I know better, I do better. So, when these guys come to me and they want to stick me in this movie and they want to give me, peanuts so that they can go and collect walnuts, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful, and we have to stop disrespecting each other. But we won't stop disrespecting each other until we decide to educate ourselves, to know better, to do better. And so that's what I vowed. My research, my brother Donovan, who's amazing as well, my musical counterpart. We just do a lot of research and a lot of studying, and that's what my family, has kind of charged us with. My mother, when we were growing up, we didn't have Google. You remember, we had encyclopedias. So I just research. I read. I'm reading an amazing book now. It's called Losing My Virginity, the Richard Branson book. And it's amazing on how he was able to do things his way. However, we can't forget that there's something called white privilege, and it's very, very real. And so I love to research, and I love to see how certain people did certain things. Sammy Davis Jr., how did he make it? Nat King Cole, how did he make it? How did you take having to walk through the servants' entrance when your name was on the marquee? How did you take having to perform for segregated audience? How did you make it? How did you do it? I want to know. So I research these things. I look at Sidney Poitier, Paul Robeson, and I just studied their blueprint to try and better myself.
Great. This is another reason why I created this platform, because we see individuals such as yourself on television and in films. A lot of people don't even know your background or your stories. I think it's important to have these type of conversations so that people can see not only the excellence, but the journey towards excellence. But you also mentioned your brother Donovan. I don't think that most people know that he played Little Ricky in Boys in the Hood. Like, when I found that out and I looked at your brother's picture, from the movie, I said, yes, they do look alike.
Yeah.
Alike.
Yeah.
Just once again, just kind of elongating your recent conversation, just talking about Black Hollywood. So, you mentioned Black films. And I know sometimes the budget isn't always there. But do you think that as a Black actor that sometimes you have a responsibility to be in more Black-led films so that we can strengthen the narrative that Blacks are supporting Black films?
I'm going to stop you right there.
People are watching.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
I do not feel, as a Black actor who has worked very hard to build my brand, that I owe anybody anything. Now, what I do feel is, as a producer, as a storyteller, as someone who has been in the forefront and has been a trailblazer, I have the responsibility to go back and tell these stories and to educate others so that we don't continue to repeat the cycle. We can't perpetuate the cycle. So you can't come to, listen, can you go into Louis Vuitton and tell them, hey, I love this Louis Vuitton, and my mama been buying Louis Vuitton for years, and my granny and my auntie had Louis Vuitton, so I need to get a little bit of money off on this purse. Can you?
Well, I tried it. It doesn't work.
So I'm just saying, I don't feel that I owe the hood anything. However, I owe the hood everything. And the only way that I can help the hood is by teaching everybody that's from my hood how to fish. Because if I give you fish, you're coming back to me tomorrow for some more. And I might not have no fish.
Right.
Now you're trying to run.
Right. I hear you. Just talking about Black Hollywood a little bit more, do you even think that Black Hollywood exists? There was a point in time where, Black Hollywood, that was a thing. Does it still exist?
I don't believe that Black Hollywood exists anymore. No, it doesn't. There is no Black Hollywood. There are offshoots of Black Hollywood, and there are remnants of Black Hollywood that's owned by corporations that we have nothing to do with unless we have a position in them. But there is no more Melvin Van Peebles, Mario Van Peebles. There are no more. John Singleton, I believe, was the last of Black Hollywood. Spike Lee is not from Hollywood. He's from New York, so he's a whole different animal. He's one of my favorites. He's one of the most amazing filmmakers and storytellers ever. He's had a hard road to travel. I admire Spike so much. I've had some amazing conversations with him. But there is no Black Hollywood. We have no loyalty. We have no real loyalty. And I'm gonna share something with you that I believe. See, blood makes you family, but it makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. And I believe that loyalty was allowed to borrow the L and the O from love to create its name. If you have no love or no loyalty, how can you have any love?
That's true.
So we don't have any loyalty to each other. So how is there any self-love here right now?
Yeah.
Everybody, and see, this was crazy about it. See, back in the day, why Black Hollywood was what it was is because you had people like Chip Fields who put people like myself in the game. Now you feel like you can just go on camera and do a skit, light yourself on fire, and push yourself down a hill in a shopping cart and get discovered. So where's the loyalty? Where's the love? Where's the love for your craft? Where is it really? And I'm not talking about going to go join somebody's acting class so you can meet Lee Daniels. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really being dedicated to this thing. So much to the point where you do such character research, you writing down shit that your director didn't even think about when they casted you for this. You got information on your character that the writer didn't even think of. How about that? That's how deep I take it. But I don't know. I mean, everything ain't for everybody.
Right. But do you just think that, this new generation is kind of redefining how to enter Hollywood? Because you mentioned, people can just go on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and they're creating all of these videos, and they're getting like major shows and endorsements.
And I'm happy for them. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that I think that it takes away a certain discipline that is absolutely necessary in this business. That's my belief.
Yeah, I'm with you. Prior to me having this platform, I've had this platform for 7 years now. Before that, I'm a published author, so I'm just a journalist at heart. And when I'm talking to some people during the quarantine, they're like, you know what? I'm gonna do a podcast. I'm just like I wish them all the best, but people only see the success of it and they don't see the hard work that goes into it. So it makes me think that they're disrespecting the craft, even though I'm happy for them. I'm just like, sis, it ain't that easy, boo.
And it takes all of us. You have to have to make a circus. You have to have a clown. You have to have a lion tamer. You have to have the motorcycle stunt man. It takes all of us to have a carnival, even which is different than a circus. You have to have rides. You have to have the games. It takes all of us. However, once you start to confuse the streams and the lanes, it can be dangerous. I can't put my head in the lion's mouth. The clown's not going to do that. The clown's not going to just go and try. And then we have to also understand that there are rules and principles that were established by the people who created this entertainment or this media business, because that's what it is. It's all media. When you really break it down, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a thing now of it doesn't matter how you get in as long as you get in. But the thing is, it's not how you get in; it's how you are able to sustain through the journey. And so if you don't have those principles, which is like why the NBA now, you know, I believe why they've made it a rule that some of these young men have to go to college. Everybody's not Kobe Bryant.
Right.
You know, you look at some players who came right out of high school and they crashed and burned. And I mean, they had tremendous talent, tremendous ability, but they were not properly guided. You know, so for me, I grew up in a showbiz family. You mentioned my brother earlier, Donovan. He didn't just do Boys in the Hood. He did Family Matters, where he played Spider. With Jaleel, it was a brilliant episode. Jaleel White actually wrote the episode. My brother got that role not only because he was a Division I basketball player, and at the time, all varsity at the time in high school and CIF champion. So he was perfect for the role. So yes, it was because he was my brother, but it was because he had the ability and he was capable and he had worked in film before. Now, my brother Donovan had made a decision. He did not like the politics of acting. So, you know, Donnie decided he wanted to do something else. And we respected that.
Right.
This ain't for everybody, you know, and I don't know. I feel humbled and I feel blessed that I've been able to be sustained for 36 plus years now by nothing more than the grace of God, my creator, and the support of my family and my loved ones, and having a strong team.
Got you. You know, you mentioned sustaining a career and also politics of Hollywood. So you have managed to sustain a successful acting career, but we also know that the politics of Hollywood probably changed as well. What have you seen changed in Hollywood that sometimes makes you think, like, why am I still here? What am I doing?
Well, I mean, the lay of the land has changed tremendously. It's just so different. And, you know, there are young executives who are coming into power now who grew up watching me, who I've even been told by some of them were inspired when they had saw some of the projects that I've been blessed to be a part of. So you have younger people coming in with a younger mentality who you know, a lot of people feel like, and I've noticed this even in the NBA, and I've heard players say this, they feel that they should be paid based on their potential, not based on what they accomplish. And so I think that that's the attitude of a lot of entertainers. And then, you know, as we both are aware of, you know, the music industry is a whole different animal. And there are a lot of rules that were, I guess you could say, made to be broken and bent in that industry. And so a lot of people from music have made their way into production now because they're like, hey, if I can produce an album, I can produce a music video, I can produce a movie. And, you know, so that's something I believe has changed things tremendously, because even back then when you had those people working in the film and television industry, back when Elvis was making movies, you know, back when Frank Sinatra was making movies, it was still rules that were followed. And so now it's just kind of like the Wild Wild West. And I think that some of it is really great. You know, when you see reality shows and reality stars doing what they do, I think it's great. However, I think that we need to be cognizant and very mindful that
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I have a call coming in.
Okay, so we'll get Eddie. I mean, I'm calling him. I knew I was going to call him Eddie Winslow eventually. I knew it. I knew it. We're going to get Darius back in just a few moments. He said that a phone call was coming in. I'm telling you, it's really important that we have these types of conversations with the celebrities that we see across our television screens, across the film screens that we listen to on the radio. I think that it's super, super important to unpack their story. Oh, there you go, Darius. I can't hear you, though. No. No. You know what? Why don't you log off and then try to join back again? Try that, and I'll be here waiting for you. Still nothing. Still nothing. So Darius is going to join us in just a few moments. I'm telling you, all week I was like, Sanya, do not call Darius anyone's I did. But like I said, it's so important to have these conversations with celebrities, and this is exactly why I launched Sanya On-Air as a celebrity platform. I was always enamored by the celebrities that I saw on television because as a child, I realized my potential very, very early on. And so just watching different celebrities on television and knowing that I was destined for greatness, it made me want to tap into their blueprint so I can figure out just how they did it so that, I could just follow the blueprint from other successful people as well. Darius, you're back. Good.
Yeah.
So, I just want to ask you another question because like my mind is just going off of all of the amazing things that you said. But, just talking about Black Hollywood, I want you to share a story that I just thought was amazing. I had no idea that you were very close friends with Rick James. And that
I wasn't as close friends with Rick James. Rick James was my self-ordained godfather.
Really?
Yeah, he claimed me as his son. And he was a major influence on my life. And I was devastated when he passed, as were so many of his close friends. He was just one of the most amazing and one of the most brilliant minds I believe God has ever allowed us to experience. And it's so sad that people, once they think they know of you, that's all they want to know. You asked where I get a lot of my knowledge. He was one of my main influences. People like him, George Clinton, my aunt Shaka Khan. Like I said, my father, Howard McCrary. These are the people who helped shape and mold my mind. And Rick was my guy. It was so funny. We would be out at huge events. I'm talking about like corporate events, right? Like Bill Gates in a room type shit, right? And he'd say, do me a favor. I say, yeah, what's up, Pops? Anything? He said, go over to the DJ and ask him what the hell is wrong with him. Doesn't he have any Rick James? And me, I would go do it. So I'd go over to the DJ. The DJ would look. First, the DJ would be tripped out because it was me, right? Like, I said, hey man, see that guy over there? He sent me over here to ask you a question, man. The guy right there, that guy.
I love it. Oh my gosh. So, what is one thing or one experience that you remember besides that one? One experience that you remember that you have with Rick James that will forever stay with you?
There's so many.
Give me one.
One. Hold on one second. Let me get this phone right.
Because you were with him the night before he died. So can you just tell us about that particular night that you were with him before he died?
So he was working on this session with Kanye West. It's probably something that you guys will never hear. And it was crazy because I actually ended up co-producing the session because he was just so hilarious. And, they had so much respect for him. And they paid him so much money to be there that, he just did what he wanted to do. And I mean, how do you control a tsunami? So I went into the session and I said, Papa Rick, listen, let's finish this session. I know you're having a ball here because he wanted to work at the record plant, which is a studio that he loved. And he wanted to do it out of a certain room. And when an artist has reached such amazing success, and as he has, it's just it's deserving. I pray one day that people will go ahead and give me the things that I require to repeat success. Because I got to fight for everything tooth and nail. It's crazy, as I said earlier. But anyway, back to Papa Rick. So we finished this session, we leave, and we were back at his place. And he was telling me about when he produced Standing on the Top for the Temptations. And he was talking about how it felt for him as a boy from Buffalo who grew up listening, to them. And how, so many times he told me all these stories. He would talk to me about, his relationship with Marvin Gaye and his relationship with James Brown and with Prince and all these different stories that he just deposited in me. But this night he was telling me about Standing on the Top. And he told me how he and his boy Levi, who was his right hand in the Stone City Band, how he walked in and he would be cool as hell, smoke his cigarette. He was Rick James, but then he would walk outside the studio door and he'd say, "Levi, we are producing the Temptations. Oh my God." And I was like a little kid, I couldn't believe this, and I had all of them. I had David Ruffin, I had Dennis Edwards, I had all of them. I had Melvin and everybody, right? And so this was probably one of the Temptations' last big hits before Ollie Woodson came and gave him Treat Her Like a Lady. I mean, this is what brought them back. And Rick carried Motown for years. So we were talking, and so he was telling me about some stuff. And so I had just gotten a series at the time called Committed on NBC. And we picked up for 13 episodes. I was working with some great producers, Heisler and Helene. It was a dream come true for me. And so I said, "Papa Rick," I said, "Man, I love you." I said, "But I got to go. I got to get up in the morning. I got this call time. Got to be on set." He said, "Well, go lay down. You ain't got to go nowhere. Go ahead, lay down." He said, come on now." I said, "Papa Rick," I said, "No, I got to go home. I got to be ready. I got to be prepared. I got to go look at it." And this is when they were still delivering our scripts to us. They would email them, but they would also deliver them so that there was no excuse. This is what I'm talking about, right? This is what I'm saying. I go back to these days. So I had to get my script. I wanted to be sure I was on point. And he was sitting on the floor and he was drinking his milk, as he liked to do. He used to get a carton of milk and he would drink his milk. He said, "All right, fine, then leave me." He said, "You're going to tell this story one day. You're going to say he was sitting on the floor drinking his milk and he asked me not to leave. And I left him, and that was the last time I saw him." And I said, "Man, that is really wrong that you would do that to me. Why do you do this, man?" He said, "Oh, just shut up and get out of here. Go ahead. Go do your thing." He said, "I'm proud of you." And I grabbed him, I kissed him on the forehead, and that was the last time that I saw him.
Wow. So where were you when you heard the news that Rick James had died?
I was actually on set. I was on the set the next day. And Sean Harris, who plays Waldo, he often works with me as my acting coach on various jobs. He's a brilliant acting coach. He was on set with me, and my mom had called him, and my mother, being the momager, she said, "Sean, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to keep Darius away from all the phones. Get his cell phone. I need you to keep him away from the TVs and keep him focused. Rick has died, and we're going to deal with it. We'll deal with it later." And I found this out later. I didn't know this at the time. And so I was just going through my day, and Sean was just acting so cool. And so I was like, "Man, let me have a phone." He's like, no, you don't need it today. You got to run through the day. We need to stay focused." So he was so good with everything. And a young lady who I was dating at the time, who was very good friends with Rick because her parents were best friends with him, actually. He was like an uncle to her. She called my dressing room, and I got the phone, and I just remember getting the news, and I was, man. And it was so difficult because he was just on a different path at the time of his passing. I mean, he and I would drink O'Doul's beer, he wasn't partying like that. He realized that he had to slow down, and he was doing that. He was about to do a reality show that I was going to be part of. And he had so much promise in his reinvention, and so it was a difficult pill to swallow. But I believe that he left us with some great memories and some great work, and he has definitely been on the other side of the veil, working for everyone that he loves.
Yeah, as you were speaking of his life, I'm a firm believer that energy lives on forever. Like, I really felt his energy in you, even in your voice when you were just like Rick. So he still lives on.
Absolutely.
This is why, it's important that even though people pass on, that we continue to speak life into their names, into their existence. But you had such amazing people shape who you are today. You've been involved in an industry that has a lot of trauma. As a Black man, how do you?
I'm sorry. What did you say? As a Black man, how do
you unpack your trauma?
Wow. How do I unpack my trauma? I've been boxing for a number of years. I stay really physical. I work out at least four to 5 days a week. A lot of meditation, whether it's yoga. I just, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. There are things that we can't talk about, things you can't express. So I just try to stay as positive as I can, and I just remain as physical as I can without harming anyone else.
Me too. That's how I unpack, I take boxing classes, kickboxing, ballet, modern, African, anything physical, it works for me. But I know that it had to be where I had to verbalize what I was feeling. And that was the reason why I became a public author. Like, I couldn't verbalize how I was feeling.
Right.
You don't have anyone that
well, that's the same thing for me. My music is that outlet. When I sit down and I'm playing those chords on the guitar, or when I write a song like Scars and Stripes, or when I'm able to sit down with El DeBarge and have discussions over the keyboard, and we sit and, El is playing and I'm playing the guitar and we're just talking and riffing, it takes a different life versus a woe is me thing. Because I can't get into woe is me. I mean, I can talk about my pain and I can acknowledge my pain, but I can't allow my pain to stop me or rock me. It may shake me, but I can't let it break me. And so, I think that it just takes a different approach when it's put into artistic form, which is part of the reason why I think that we are such an artistic people and such a passionate people. And a lot of times our passion is mistaken for anger. We're not angry, we're passionate. And we've had to endure so much, that I think that sometimes we should be given a pass to express how we feel, but we're not. So that's why we dance it out. That's why we sing it out. And what a lot of people don't know, so many of you who want to be artists, and I'm not calling you want to be, I'm saying that you want to be artists. We, as Blacks, a lot of times used to perform, and we were given the opportunity by some of the more merciful to perform rather than to have to perform. Mm-hmm. If you understand. Mm-hmm. Because we were generally objectified and and we were molested and a lot of us were abused and there were brothels that we worked out of, and so we would say, please, can I just sing for my meal instead of having to perform these acts that are degrading, and desecrating. Can I please just sing? I can sing. I can play the piano. So we would learn to do other things to make ourselves valuable, and that's why a lot of us are in this entertainment industry today.
But just turning to as a form of expression and releasing our trauma. You did mention that molestation and inappropriate watching. I was watching an interview that you had done saying that if you were a part of Hollywood for a certain amount of time, there's a guarantee that you were probably touched inappropriately. You alluded to someone touching you inappropriately, a man and a woman, and that you wouldn't bring this to public attention because you had worked through that trauma yourself. Why do you want to speak about that?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. In retrospect, when I said that, I was defending a friend of mine who they thrown him to the wolves. You know, he's been blackballed, and I'm not going to call his name. He's a big white actor who they demonized, discredited, and destroyed. But he's got the money, so it's okay. A lot of the time, that's what they don't allow us to do, is to really get to the real money. See, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Right. And see, a lot of us don't understand that. So for me, I didn't see, I was just making a point. I was just saying that if you're in this industry, more than likely you've been touched inappropriately, whether you realize it or not. You know, there are certain things that people do to you that are signals to try and let you know that I would like to bring you into a certain circle, or I would like to have a conversation with you in private. And you know, you might not have realized it because you were just so caught up in the lights. And I just want to be famous. I just want to be on TV. Somebody just noticed me and recognized me. And you didn't realize that you were being touched in your lower back a certain way. You didn't realize that your hand was being shook and you were being touched a certain way. You didn't realize when you were taking a picture and your arm was around you that you were being rubbed and touched by a certain finger, and there was a certain sign or signal that was being given to you. You didn't realize it, you know? And so I was saying that in retrospect, and I was saying, if you're in this, that's just like being a fireman and talking about, I've inhaled smoke. Okay. You knew the job was dangerous when you took it. And if you didn't, then you shouldn't have signed up for it. And that's just how I feel. So it makes no sense for me to go back and for me to dig up old bones and for me to say, this person did this to me when I was on this show. And it doesn't make sense. What good is it going to do? It's going to ruin their life. It's going to ruin my life, you know, and then it makes everybody uncomfortable. So in my opinion, and I hate to sound this way, these are some of the casualties of war. These are some of the battle scars that you bear being on this battlefield. And that's what Hollywood is. It's a jungle. It's a jungle. And you have to learn the customs, and you have to learn the rules of engagement so that you're not only eaten by the jungle, but you're not eaten by the natives.
Right. I get that, you know, but I don't want to say that it's the casualty of war. You know, I think for so long, especially in our culture, we were always taught not to say anything if something that matters. And I'm so glad that's so demystifying.
Let me expound. I'm not saying don't say anything. I'm saying that was my choice. Okay. I'm saying if you don't say something immediately, to bring something up 5 years later, 30 years later, 20 years later, I just don't fit. That doesn't sit well with me. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're seeing what happened with Mr. Cosby. You know, I'm not saying that he was right. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm just saying that as a black man out here, I got enough to worry about. So I'm not going to go back and go dig up no old bones. I'm not going to do it. Now, if that's what you want to do and you're okay with that, then that's your truth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad that you explained that. I do believe that people develop strength or the language to their trauma during their own time. There's no timeline for that. I am just happy when people have enough courage to speak up, whether or not it's 15, 20, 30 years down the line.
And if that's your truth, then if you have to find that, then I understand. What I'm saying is that when you're in the pros and you make it to a certain level and you're playing in a certain arena, it's different than playing in college. It's different than playing in high school. It's different rules that apply. It's just like we look at the boys in college who are the people that Jerry Sandusky ruined their lives. Them boys' lives was ruined. The coach touching on them. One of the people, most trusted people. It took years for that to come out. I'm saying that the boys who didn't speak up and the people who were around who knew about it were just as wrong as Sandusky. So them boys might not have been able to speak on it because they wanted to get to the league, because they knew that man would have ruined their chances of performing at a professional level because he was a gatekeeper. So they might not have spoke out about it. But there were people around who knew about it who were just as guilty. And so you're right. It does take that people that time to build that strength. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm not going to go back and dig it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to become as successful as possible, and I'm going to keep on pushing. And when you look back at me, 45, 50 years later, doing this as a black man in this game, and now you got to come knock on my door, it's a different conversation.
Got you. You know, you also mentioned, just kind of exploring people's careers with a narrative that may be true or false. A few years ago, there was a story that with you and your ex-wife, Corinne Steffens. There was an allegation made against you. How did you bounce back from your career when such a serious allegation was made against you?
I mean, first off, look, Corinne came out and admitted that everything that she had told everyone was fabricated, or either it was exaggerated. So, I mean, how do you discredit yourself when you're claiming to be a New York Times bestselling author and then expect anyone to believe you? I mean, I think that the truth is just the best antidote for anything that would be considered a venom. And so I've just continued to live in my truth and just be as honest as possible, and to be as forthcoming and just to be as stand-up as I can. I mean, people know who I am. And once again, I knew that job was dangerous when I took it. Nobody's talking about all the good that I did for her as an individual. And to be quite frank, I've just closed that chapter of my life, and I've decided to continue to move on. So I don't even address anything regarding her, and even more recent allegations that were made about me where my daughter was concerned. The only reason that I even have any contact with people who made those allegations is because I have to, because we have a child. I feel bad when people do stuff like this, because not only does it affect you as an individual, but it affects your children, and it affects your family and anybody involved with you. And people might not say it, but people really in this industry, especially when it comes to us, because there are different rules that apply, people don't like people who lie and who create this gossip. It works on one hand, for the salacious journalists and the gossip columns and the blogs. It works on one hand, but I mean, once people get a hold of some gossip, they're on to the next gossip the next day, and the only thing that stands are those true entertainers, people with true talent and ability to continue making money for production, and who are bankable for these sponsors and these advertisers. And I just thank God that people were able to see through whatever smokescreen was created for attention. I mean, there are women who admittedly called the police on their man, because they know that the fairer sex has the upper hand when it comes to the law. There are women who admittedly will say that, yes, I told them that he was drunk because I knew that was the only way that they would pull him over. And so I've just found myself in a situation, and I've just learned now to choose my career first, because if I don't have a career, I can't take care of my family. And to stop bringing people in who don't value my career, who don't value my ability and my longevity as I do. And so I'm just a bit more cautious and careful these days.
I got you. I had to learn that lesson about 20 years ago from my daughter, and she told me that the truth never needs defending. And I had got my first dose of a scandal, my first book, and it tore me to pieces. And my daughter said, "Mom, you don't have to defend that. People who know you, they know who you are and who cut from." And it really made me put things in perspective. Like, I don't even have to go and talk to the media at the news station when they're asking these questions because I know that I did nothing wrong with the book. So the truth never needs defending.
And that's where I am. I mean, I feel like, unfortunately, once you fan those flames, we have to understand, like I said earlier, we don't have the luxury of tearing each other down. We don't get the same covers and the same opportunities that these white actors get. If you go and you look now, you might see more of our faces on these covers because of all of the recent issues that have come up. And now, it's just in to be black. And now, everyone's looking for a savior to try and show that, we don't.
I can't hear you, Eddie. Call you Eddie. Darius, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Not anymore. Darius, are you still there? Hello, Darius. We got to get Darius back. So while he works out the technical, are you there? Can I say something and make sure I can hear you? No, I can't hear you. Okay. So he's gonna log off, come back. Amazing conversation. But just going back to the onset of our conversation, he was acting a celebrity in Family Matters, still driving a luxury car, pulled over by police, racially profiled. If it could happen to a celebrity who graces our television screens every single week, as it did when Family Matters was in rotation, the live season, it can happen to you. It can happen to me. So, everyone just really needs to be careful out there. We are in very dangerous times. The election is approaching next week. Make sure that you get out there and vote. And just like Darius mentioned, voting is not just the only thing that we need to do. You must use your collective voices, your individual voice, no matter how it may be, whether it is talking to one or two other people or a group of people about the Black experience and strengthening the Black experience. If it means that you're using your social media to shed light on a lot of injustices, if it means that you are actively protesting, if it means that you are speaking at churches, something where you have to show up for the Black experience and the Black culture, just to make sure that your voices are heard. I really hope that Darius comes back. I called him Eddie Winslow twice. I knew I was going to do it. I knew it. I hope that he is able to join us again, because I do have some more to discuss with him. Very important things that I want to discuss with him before we close out this much needed conversation with Darius McCrary. So please, Darius, universe, let Darius join Sanya On-Air again. So like I said, until Darius comes back, you can catch Sanya On-Air streaming not only on YouTube, but on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout. I think I did mention iTunes. Just major streaming platforms. Make sure that you also go to my website, www.SanyaOnAir.com, so that you can get a feel for all of my celebrity content. And you can also see who is coming up on Sanya On-Air next. Who got next? So I hear it clicking. So I'm hoping that, yeah, he's back. He's back. Let's just bring Darius back. I was praying. I was like, I hope Darius comes back.
Hello.
Good. So we ended up just talking about, how the truth.
I forget. I usually do these interviews on my iPad so that I can avoid these calls. So, yeah.
Well, now you know. But like I said, we were talking about the truth never needs defending. And, most recently, you were a topic of conversation again. We talk about relationships and the definition of your sexual identity or your sexual preference. And I think that this conversation right now is much needed, because what I'm finding out as a Black woman is that the conversation of love is still changing, and I don't even have a pulse on it. So I just really want to discuss this with you, because we had a reality star, Sidney Starr. She posted a picture on her Instagram page, and you commented on it, and then all of these rumors started swirling.
No. Let me get you straight. Hold on. I didn't comment on her picture. I reposted a clip of her video.
Okay.
And I said, what's understood doesn't need to be explained. You're undeniable. And this is what kills me. Hold on. This is what kills me about us as Black people. First off, we talk about emojis. I'm gonna go Allen Iverson on you folks. Stop me from using another word, okay? We're talking about emojis. Not me with a sex tape, not me coming out of gay club, not me. We're talking about emojis. Not the performances and all of the work I've done to show you the Black excellence. We're talking about emojis. We're talking about practice. And what y'all run with, he this, he that. This is what we do. See, this is what the difference is between us and other races. Mm-hmm. We focus on the wrong thing. Yeah. And I'm going to say this. What's understood don't need to be explained. Sidney and I have been friends since I did the show Star for Lee Daniels, because she was on Star. Yeah. And we're working on a project. I'm producing a show that is starring her. And that's all that I can tell you guys for right now. She's one of my closest friends, and she's someone who's very dear to my heart. And I mean, just like I'm friends with Amaya Scott, who was on Star, just like I'm friends with Tokyo Styles. I have friends, and I'm not in high school, so you're not going to tell me who I can and can't hang out with. You're not going to tell me that I'm not one of the cool kids because I'm hanging out with those kids. That's actually a form of bullying, and I hate bullies. One of the things I learned about a bully is they got a whole lot to say until they get socked in the mouth. True.
I'm a Brooklyn girl, so we know that. We know that too. There have been so many Twitter or Instagram gangsters. Social media has become such a dangerous platform where you can say one thing or post a picture or in your Instagram and people create false narratives. And it is so dangerous because I don't think people realize person's career. And what if they have children who have access to this information? I think it's so dangerous.
I'm gonna say it like this. In this business of entertainment, once again, we don't have the luxury of saying, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. I think that I've done that for years, which is why you've never seen me wear a dress in a show or on camera. Just because as a Black man, I know the type of man that I am, my type. I have a certain responsibility to bear. If I was built a little different, if I was a different type of cat, then maybe I would do some other things. But I know what I have to do and the responsibility I have to bear. So, I'm not going to say, no, I wouldn't sing at a gay pride event. I'm not going to say that because part of my job as an entertainer is uniting people. Part of my job as an entertainer is opening up people's minds. Art opens people's minds. You go to a museum to see art to change your mind, to change your mood. I was flying back and I was sitting in first class with a young lady who happened to be Caucasian. And she was reading a book. And I asked her, what are you reading? And she said, oh, it's just some fantasy book. It's something that's not real to escape my present reality. That's what art is supposed to be. So I don't know what it is for you guys. I can't speak for any of you. I know that it's my job to maybe one day I might play a gay character. It's my job. Now, the question comes, am I going to be able to be true enough with it to kiss another man?
Would you?
And I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. You know,
So
it's no different than me playing a killer. Would I play a killer? Well, on Star, I played a man who was raping his underage foster daughter.
right.
I did that. That was hard. That was mentally challenging for me. But I did it.
Yeah, and I didn't hear any conversations out of that.
Yo, listen. I commented on a Myers page before. I've commented on Jill Marie Jones, who's one of my favorite women on planet Earth, who's one of the stars of Girlfriends, and who was on the show Monogamy. I comment on her page daily. I've commented on Tokyo's page. I mean, what is it? Because it's the bad girl, Sidney Starr, and everybody hates her, that now it's just a problem?
Because I think that when sexuality or sexual preference, it's so abstract for so many people that they just form their own conclusions. So that question becomes like the Bible for individuals. If you want to date a woman and she asks you whether or not you are gay or heterosexual or homosexual, would you feel offended or would you respond? What would your response be?
And that's my point. I mean, my point is, look, when what you pee with is more important than what you love with, you need to check yourself. And I'm going to just leave that there.
Yeah, I get that. But I just know as a heterosexual Black woman, I know that question has become important in my line of questioning when I'm dating. I remember years ago, I didn't even know that it was important to ask a male, listen, are you dating someone else? Until a male asked the question, yeah, I am dating someone, but you never asked me that before. I was like, ask that question? So now women are asking that question when they're going out with men.
And I think that is important. I think that we should ask those questions. I think that we should also be willing, once we ask those questions, to be able to accept the answers that we get. I think that we as Black people have been conditioned a certain way to where we're not even honest with ourselves.
True.
I think men and women have been conditioned a certain way to where men and women are not honest with themselves. So, you know, I think in today's world especially, we should have these conversations. You know, and I mean, I look at women, you know, like Sidney Starr, you know, like Amaya Scott, as beautiful women, and it's what they are, and I don't judge them for what they are, and I treat them for how they present themselves to me. And they've been nothing but ladies in my presence, and so I have nothing but the utmost respect for them. And I would publicly hang out with them, and as I have, and I address them as what they present themselves to me as ladies.
So just to, you know, get an answer to, you know, question, when you date someone or when you're interested in dating someone, you don't base it upon whether or not they can doing it, you base it upon heart and their emotions?
I mean, for me, honestly, I'm just on a different page. Right now, I'm dating my career. That's what I'm doing, you know. And
if your career has a giant penis, which one, like, would it not matter or does it matter?
I mean, I think that like I said, for me, I've been through so much at this point. I'm dating my career right now, you know, and that's just what I'm focused on. And whoever it is that I decide to be with has to be okay with that. And that's just what comes first, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's just where I am with things, you know. And I don't feel that it's anybody's business what goes on in the bedroom. I think that we make too much of a big deal about asking, you know, who you sleeping with. I mean, you know, uh, I am a ladies' man. That's what I am. That's what I've been. You know, I mean, whether it goes back to me having Tracy Spencer on the show, or whether it goes back to me having Shanice on the show. I mean, I've made certain decisions because, you know, I mean, back to Corinne Steffens. You know, I mean, driving her crazy enough that if you go to YouTube and see her jumping on the back of my car. I mean, you know, these are not things that I'm proud of, but
Right.
you know. you know, this is what it is for me. So, you know, I love the ladies, and the ladies love me. You know,
Oh,
you know, unfortunately for me at this stage of the game, I think that what I'm deciding to do is give as much attention to my career as I've given to some of these ladies,
yeah,
and that's what it is for me, and that's what my focus is.
got you. Well, let's talk about your career just a little bit more before this conversation. You talk about your music a little bit. Like we got a little taste of your singing capabilities, just like you said when singer Tracy Spencer came to the show. Tracy Spencer, I love her with Tender Kisses. But talk about your musical career at this point. What type of artist would
Well,
you
you
describe?
know, my music career is it's elusive. I mean, I get to sing in projects. I got a movie, True to the Game 2, I'm in right now, produced by Manny Haley. True to the Game 3 has just been announced, and he's bringing the cast back for that. So we're gonna be filming that. So the blessing for me is I get to put music in projects. Next Day Air, I had a song in that I produced and wrote with G1. I've been able to work with great producers like DJ Quick. I got a single out now. It's called Scars and Stripes that I wrote and produced with Javon Dawkins and my brother Donovan. And, El DeBarge even came and sat in for me, Angelo Moore from Fishbone. My music career is it's elusive, and it's kind of like a woman. She likes to tease me because I haven't really been able to possess her or wield her love to my every desire, need, and want. But she gives me enough to get by, and I'm just a musician because it's in my blood, and that's what I love to do. I get to work with my family. Chuck Heat is an amazing producer. That's my cousin, Chuck McCrary. I've been able to work with Mickey Howard. I played Gerald Levert. I played James Brown. And so those things, are the blessing. So just because everybody doesn't get to see it doesn't mean I'm not doing it and I'm not working toward it. Like I said, I've been able to sing with Tracy Spencer, who's just so amazing, and I love her so much still to this day. I've been able to work with Nona Gay, and who's just amazing, and it's brought me a lot of joy. So I'm gonna keep on doing it. I'm gonna keep on working. Um, there's a movie called Christmas in Caroline, and that'll be out soon. And I sang just a little bit in that. So
Right.
that's what my music career is. I kind of like use the visual side of things to present the musical side of me, if you would, these days. And a lot of the stage plays that I've been in, I get to sing in that. And I'm doing something with Don B. Welch coming up very soon, who's probably one of my favorite writers and one of the most amazing playwrights. He always brings people like Loretta Devine, Jack A. Harry, Dorian Wilson, Flex Alexander, Lettucey, um, Clifton Powell. He brings people like myself, all of us together, based on his stories and what he does. And he always makes sure that I sing. So, I'm trying to woo this woman named Music, but, she ain't easy, y'all. She ain't
No,
easy, y'all.
women can be very finicky. Trust, I know. I know. But what's so amazing? The names that you have dropped. I had a conversation just the other day asking this gentleman, I'm like, who's your social network? Because that determines your social capital. It is so refreshing when I hear people talk about these amazing people who are in their inner circle shape who they are today. So you've surrounded yourself with some amazing individuals. But I also want to talk about you have a CBD line. Is that that's Winslow, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt. It's called the Winslow brand. So you guys go follow the Winslow brand, and it's reminding you to take your time, to get to the win. It's the art of perpetual winning. Because just because you win one time doesn't mean that you're going to be able to win again. So you have to make sure you work out, eat properly, and count the small victories and do the little things that get you to that championship space where you become a perpetual winner, like Michael Jordan, like LeBron James, like Kobe Bryant, and even like myself, I have to do certain things. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm working out a certain way. I eat a certain way. There's a perpetual discipline that comes with focus, concentration, and discipline. And CBD, it really helps in the healing and the recovery time. We got a pain cream, we got a quick healing lotion, we got mints, we got gum for those of you who might need a bit refreshing. But CBD, it also we got body wash. We got all this stuff. It's a great line. Winslow brand. It's at realdariusmccrary.com. And here's the thing: instead of taking a Xanax, you'll find that CBD will help with relaxation and anxiety. It also helps with swelling and inflammation. It helps with digestion. So many areas, that this will help aid you in you learning to perpetually win.
Got you. And I'm glad that you cleared up the name of your brand, because I wasn't sure if it was a play on words, like Winslow. I was like, is he going back to his roots from Family Matters and Winslow? So I'm glad that you clarified.
Win. It's the win in winning.
Got you.
Slowly. The win in winning slowly, because it's a marathon, as you can see. It's a marathon, baby.
I just want to give you a suggestion for your CBD line. I came across a CBD product about 2 years ago. I don't know if you've heard. There are CBD products for women where they can put it on their clitoris and it stimulates a better orgasm. Have you ever heard?
Okay, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and call my constituents, and then now we have a new SKU. Thank you so much.
I haven't seen this product anywhere.
It's something new every day.
Look into it. It works.
All right.
But Darius, you've been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your organic and transparent conversation. You made. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me, and let's catch up again. Got a bunch of stuff coming down the line, so anytime, reach out. You know where I am.
I sure will. Thank you so much, Darius. You take care. Bye bye. So there you have it, Darius McCrary. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, as a kid, I used to love Family Matters. I've been watching his career since the late 1980s when he first stepped onto the Hollywood scene. I love talking with celebrities who have managed to sustain their career over generations of time, where you now find their kids and their grandkids now looking at the same body of work. That's how you know when a person is successful. It isn't just about, getting your foot in the door, but it is about the legacy that you're leaving. How are you sustaining your career? So it was just an absolute pleasure to have Darius on this edition of Sanya On-Air. Child, how many times did I call him Eddie Winslow? How many times? I knew it was going to happen. Like I said, you can find Sanya On-Air streaming on all major platforms. And also, just do me this solid. You can also donate to to sustain Sanya On-Air. You can donate any amount that you want on my Cash App. It is $SanyaHudson, SanyaHudson. So do me a favor, just drop me some coins, keep these lights on, keep this internet working, fly out to see some of my celebrity guests so I can continue creating dope celebrity content. This has been a great conversation today with Darius McCrary. I'm going to stay in touch with him because, just like you said, he has a few upcoming projects. So we're definitely going to have him back on Sanya-OnAir so that he can unpack all of those things. If you're watching on YouTube or if you are streaming on other streaming platforms, just make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I love you all for tuning in. Thank you so much. Smooches, dolls. Bye-bye.
Are you ready?